What's up guys, it's Lord Both here for another video, and Amazon says you don't actually own your movies. This comes to us from The Hollywood Reporter entitled, "You don't actually own that movie you just bought. A new class action lawsuit targets Amazon." A suit challenges Prime Video, telling people that they can buy a movie when they're purchasing a license to watch it for a period of time. And if you're into gaming, you're like, wait a second. I know I've heard this before. Because you have. From IGN, Ubisoft's The Crew lawsuit insists we do not own the games we buy. Yeah, this essentially is The Crew lawsuit against Ubisoft, but it's going against Amazon now. The "you will own nothing and you will be happy" lawsuits are now spreading to the actual streamers, not just gaming developers and publishers. But the article states on Friday a proposed class action lawsuit was filed in Washington federal court against Amazon over a quote bait and switch in which the company allegedly misleads consumers into believing they've purchased content when they are only getting a license to watch, which can be revoked at any time. And yes, even the Hollywood Reporter can see that this is literally The Crew lawsuit, because as it states here, the issue came to the forefront of the California legislature in 2023 when gamers discovered that their access to The Crew would be cut off once Ubisoft shut down servers for the game. After, the Stop Killing Games movement was born to stop publishers from destroying titles consumers had already bought, which of course we know developers and specifically publishers hate the Stop Killing Games movement and desperately want it to go away, because in the long term it is going to cost them money heavily. The way in which digital transactions are structured, the lack of transparency around them, and the streaming landscape is partly why physical media is sort of cool again. Yeah, the only problem is it's getting increasingly difficult to actually get your hands on anything physical, as more and more companies are just opting out of making things into physical media because there's just not a big enough audience that justifies spending money into it. The article continues, DVDs offer an ability now and forever to bypass the complicated web of licenses that leave fans unable to access their favorite titles. And for DVDs, yes, that is pretty much true. However, if you are a gamer, you know actual discs that are pretty much just key cards to download a game digitally is not exactly the same kind of physical media. Some companies even just sell you quote unquote physical copies, which are just empty boxes with key cards in them. You type in the key card on your system and you download the game that way. And that's considered a physical copy. Go ask Nintendo fans how they feel about those physical copies of games being basically key cards. Actually, don't ask Nintendo fans that. They'll probably tell you they love it because Nintendo fans are retarded. But the article continues, the lawsuit accuses Amazon, which didn't respond to a request for comment, of misrepresenting the nature of movie and TV transactions during the purchase process. On its website and platform, the company tells consumers they can, quote, buy a movie, but hidden in the footnote on the confirmation page is the fine print that says you receive a license to the video and you agree to our terms, the complaint said. The issue is already before a court in a 2020 lawsuit alleging unfair competition and false advertising over the practice. Amazon maintained that its use of the word, quote, buy for digital content isn't deceptive because consumers understand their purchases are subject to licenses. So yeah, they're arguing that, hey, when you signed up for the platform, you knew that we as a platform have licenses to things. When you buy something on our website or streaming service, that means that you are getting a license to watch that. You're being welcomed into the family, welcome into the club of people who have access to this. Because we have access to it, now we're sharing our access to you. That's essentially what's happening here. But if we lose access to it, well then you lose access to it. And Amazon is claiming that you, the consumer, knew that when you signed up for the platform, or knew that when you bought something on their platform because of their tiny little footnote notice, I guess. And because of this, quoting Webster's Dictionary, yes, they're quoting Webster's Dictionary, it said that the term buy means, quote, rights to the use or services of payment rather than perpetual ownership, and that its disclosures properly warn that they may lose access. The court ultimately rebuffed Amazon's bid to dismiss the lawsuit outside of a claim alleging a violation of Washington's unjust enrichment law. See, the problem that Amazon is running into here is that they also sell physical stuff. And when people buy physical stuff off of Amazon's website, including physical DVD movies, they're not buying licenses to that stuff that Amazon can just revoke at any time. Because that would be renting, which I know is a dirty word in 2025. Drums up old visions of things like Blockbuster. But that's what renting or even leasing is. And you don't do that with physical stuff you buy from Amazon. In fact, you don't do that with physical stuff that you buy anywhere. So when you put buy in front of something, people assume you mean buy the thing. It's especially dicey because Amazon has a rent feature on their actual platform, where they also tell you you'll have I think it's a week to watch the movie or whatever. And once you start the movie, you have 24 hours to actually finish the movie, something like that. So they're trying to qualify that renting is different from buying, but in actuality, they're both renting. It's just renting, when your ability to watch said thing that you purchased on the platform is going to end. Buying, you have absolutely no idea. But they're in reality both renting. And no, that might not be the Webster's Dictionary version of digital buying. But guess what? Courts don't always go by the actual definition of certain things. And lawsuits, especially civil lawsuits like this, are often resolved under what is felt is a just resolution, not just the most denotative, provable one. And if that's all bad for Amazon, things get worse because the article states recent legislative changes may make the lawsuit even more viable. Earlier this year, a California law went into effect barring the advertisement of a transaction as a, quote, purchase unless it offers unrestricted ownership of the product. Under the statute, sellers must obtain acknowledgement that buyers are aware they're actually buying a limited license, in this case, movies or TV shows that can be revoked. Amazon, quote, does not meet the standard set by the statute for a clear and conspicuous notice that the thing they are purchasing is a revocable license to access the digital good, writes Wright Noel, a lawyer for consumers looking to sue the company in the complaint. Quote, the warning is buried at the very bottom of the screen in font that is considerably smaller than the other text on the screen. So here you have lawyers arguing that Amazon is actually now in violation of this California law because the notice that they put up that you're actually just renting your movies or renting your TV shows instead of actually buying them is obviously not clear and noticeable enough that the most standard person or average person would notice. And therefore, it is an unfair practice to then be able to revoke the license to actually view that item that was purchased by the person on Amazon because they were not properly aware that they didn't actually own it in perpetuity. So, of course, the question is, what do people actually want out of this lawsuit? Well, the lawsuit specifically says that it seeks unspecified damages, including disgorgement of profits and punitive damages for allegedly intentionally malicious conduct. That is a roundabout way of saying money. They want to come after Amazon for money, to punish them in their wallet. And what that probably means is that they're going to get Amazon to just put a bigger warning label on things to say, hey, you don't actually own this. Will it actually change anything? Get them to change their view on actual ownership of products on their platform? Probably not. It'll probably just get them to put bigger warning labels on things. But does it give you a little bit of warm and fuzzy to know that it might hurt them in their pocketbook? Maybe a little bit, but I mean, It's Amazon. This is the company that wasted like $2 billion on Rings of Power so far, with like 5 more seasons to go of that terrible, horrific show. I think they got the cash to burn on this class action lawsuit. A lot more than, say, even Ubisoft has to burn on theirs, going through the same exact arguments, essentially. And I do think the result of that lawsuit, which I think is going to be resolved way before this one, is going to have some pretty big impacts on the actual outcomes of this one as well. But those are just my thoughts on all this. If you have your own thoughts, go and leave them in the comments. If you liked this video, go and like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't like this video, I appreciate you watching all of it, and we'll talk to you again later.